Hey everybody, what's going on? Fallout here. Welcome to a very special edition of Fallout Plays. Today we're having kind of a little bit of a Destiny roundtable talk, and here with me I have both CammyCakes and CoolGuy. And if you don't know who those people are, you need to get in the know. Why don't you check my video description for links to both of their YouTube channels. You should definitely check them out. And today we are here to talk about a Destiny 2 PvP wishlist sort of thing. And here in part 1 of the video, we're going to be talking about the overall matchmaking experience and what we would like to get out of that in D2. So, CammyCakes, how are you? Thank you for joining me.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, brother. And CoolGuy, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm awesome.
I want to hear it again.
Well, thank you so much to both of you for joining me. Really good to have you here. Looking forward to some good discussions on Destiny 2 and what we are looking forward to maybe getting in terms of our PvP wishlist. And why don't we kick things off with a little bit of a talk on ranked and unranked play in matchmaking.
Has to happen. Has to happen.
Has to happen. Mandatory.
I mean, I guess I'll say what the community is feeling, what I see in the forums and my own comments and so forth is every game is sweaty. Why is this? Why do people play every match of Destiny like it's MLG Grand Finals? I don't know. Well, actually, I do know, but it's rhetorical.
Well, you know, it's a fine line because I tell people to play to win, and they have the ability to play that way if they want to. But the thing is that not everybody out there in PvP land is always going out to play to win. Sometimes, and I know this sounds crazy, people go out into Crucible and they try to play to have fun. Did you know that?
What?
No way.
What is this?
This is true. I've read about this.
Next thing you're going to tell me is that there's auto rifles in the game.
God. Heaven forbid, Cammy. But no, you're on point. I mean, people go in, and sometimes we get these matches, and they're just crazy. I mean, sometimes you want to go in, and you just want to have a good time. You want to have fun. You want to go in where you know you're probably not going to be fighting against people too crazy, and if you do get matched up against people who are too crazy, it's like, so what? Who cares? It's an unranked playlist, and you're kind of in there to blow off steam. Do you guys ever play? You guys big Halo players back in the day?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
No,
yes, sir.
No, of course.
We're talking original Bungie Halo here, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Bungie made Halo? What is this?
Wait, what am I hearing? No. Yeah, not 343. Although I do enjoy a little bit of 343's work. But yeah, back in the day, I was a big Halo 2 player, and they had ranked and unranked play. And the unranked play was called team training. And it was great because if you felt like going into PvP, you wanted a really sweaty match, fight people who were maybe a little bit better than you, maybe really well balanced at your skill level, you could do that. You could go into Team Slayer, you could go into Team Objective, and you could fight in those ranked playlists and get a good fight. And then if you wanted to cool down for the night, you could just chill and you could jump over into team training and you could work on trying to pull off those dank 360 no-scopes, whatever the hell you want to do, because you know that even if you lost, who cares? No rank. So what does it matter?
Yep.
You guys feel like something like that is really, like, cause I think it's definitely needed in D2.
It's for sure needed. I think you should have the choice to have fun or to try.
There you go.
I'll jump up to Halo 3. They didn't even count KD, right? So when you looked at somebody on the other team, you would see their rank, 1 through 50. And what was nice is if you were level 22 and you played ranked, you'd play with levels 19 to 24, right? So if you beat somebody that was a little bit higher, say there was 5 or 4 25s on the other team and you were 22, there's a big chance you're going to rank up to level 23 if you win that game, and a pretty good chance you're not going to D-rank if you lose. But also, they didn't take KD into effect at all. When you looked at somebody, they're level 50, you didn't even have to check their KD because it did games won. And I think in gaming, that's kind of been lost over the years. A lot of people going for nukes in Call of Duty and going for clips. Winning is the #1 priority, guys. So
Are you sure?
You would see that there are 4,000 games won from this guy out of 4,500. So he lost 500 games out of 4,500, and you would just say that and see that and know that you're getting ready to get worked over. Like, it didn't matter what his KD was. The dude wins games. He's going to be a good player. And
Yeah.
I think that there is a place for ranked, and in Destiny, it's kind of underestimated, right? So MLG picked up Destiny, which is a good thing. It's good for our game, esports in the future. Too. Yeah, into Destiny too. It's a good thing whether you are a fan of competitive PvP or not. It's good for the game. But if there was ranked and social, the ranked guys, the competitive guys, would be in a ranked playlist. They're not really going to be in that social playlist. They would go in there to warm up. They would go in there to blow off steam or have a good time, like you were talking about, Fallout. And but most of all, you would go in that special or that social playlist with your friends. I mean, in Halo, you could actually get guests, so it'd be you and 4 guests on one screen, split screen. I don't know if you guys remember that. But you would have fun. Like that's what it's all about. And you go for the 360 no scopes. You can go for all that fun stuff, right? But you could warm up, and then you would go right into ranked, and then things get a little bit more serious, and the connections would tighten up with skill based, and they would try to keep it that way. So I do think that there's a place, and Destiny 2 should have it, and hopefully factions and all that good stuff comes into play with that too. Different ways they can go with it.
Cool guy, you bring up a good point, and it's something I'd like to mention real quick. Sometimes I bring up the argument of like, oh, it should be like old school Halo. You got the ranked playlist, you got the unranked playlist, and then sometimes people say to me, well, Fallout, what are you going to do if a really sweaty group of guys just keeps going into team training over and over and over to try and mollywop people? And that is a concern. But do you know what the easy way around that is? If you're a low-ranked player, just go into the ranked playlist. Because sometimes these people have an image of if you go into the ranked playlist, no matter what, you're going to get squashed. You know what I mean? The other team is going to be way out of your league. But it's designed to keep it relatively close in terms of skill or games won, whatever they use to analyze it. So if you're a really low-level ranked player, very new to a game like Halo, or hopefully D2 if they have ranked and unranked, and you're fighting against people who are just kind of pub stomping in team training or in unranked, just go into ranked. Because if you're like a level 1, a level 2, a level 3, guess what? You're going to fight against other teams of level 1, level 2, and level 3. It's great to keep the game balanced for all types of players, in my opinion.
It was my favorite system. It really was, because it balanced itself out. And even because you could boost and you could cheat all your way up to 50 in Halo. So people just can have that 50. It's the equivalent of being like going to the lighthouse, right? People in Destiny, and it's unfortunate, say, oh, well, you just got carried, blah, blah, blah. Well, you boosted to your 50. But the story behind that is the system works itself out, because once they're in a level 50 playing with the big boys, they get whooped on.
That's true.
That's the best.
Does that make sense? The game, the system works itself out. But that's besides the point. Keep going.
No, that's a fantastic point. If you do whatever kind of shenanigans you want to do to get to the top of your respected
you're both on the money
ladder.
there. And if you do get a group of people who are way out of the skill bracket just playing public and stomping, well, you don't have to stay there. You can leave. It's a public social playlist. No one cares. Well, maybe they might add like a if you leave, then you'll get punished system in social, but we'll see.
Maybe. But it should only punish you if you're kind of quitting super repeatedly. Otherwise, you don't want to punish somebody if they're leaving to get the door for the pizza guy or something like that.
Yep.
And they get kicked out for inactivity. You know what I'm talking about. All right, well, why don't we move on to our next talking point here, which is join in progress.
I already have PTSD.
What?
Rumble over here. Oh, it's 1900. Good luck, Cammy.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I'm glad that Bungie kind of took steps to correct that. Dude, kudos to them. I wish it had happened a little earlier in the game's history, but yeah, I think it would be great if right off the bat, D2, there was more control over being put into a game in like a hopeless situation. Now I know it's really difficult to analyze, well, how does Bungie know what to put you into and what not to put you into? But I think we all know the horror stories. We've lived them. You know what I mean? You're like, hey, I want to rank up Iron Banner, or I want to have a fun Rumble game, and you get dropped down onto the planet. And
you
it's
hear
like,
the
wow.
the little horn for all 3 zones are capped, and then
Right,
you
you
hear like a
control the
machine
zones.
gun in the distance.
Right when
you
come in.
a Sunbreaker. You're like, all right.
Sunbreaker, Stormcaller go off at the
Yeah.
same exact time. Control the zones.
There's
Fight
a
back.
warlock crying in the corner,
just
and
peeks.
you know, some hunter with his hair on fire running around. You're like, wow, this is a great game to get dropped into. Yeah, it's sad.
Okay, now winning those is super satisfying, but
Agreed.
again, the option to even be put into games while in progress should be there. I don't know if it was Halo or a different game I'm thinking of. Maybe it was one of the older Call of Duties, but you could actually select a little check mark that says, "Don't throw me in a game that's already in
I
progress."
was just gonna say that there should be an option for that. Like, if you want to go into a game of Rumble, because I know some people would be like,
Some people just
Well,
want
you
the
know,
rewards. They just want to get
yeah,
it
they
over
just
with.
want the RNG. Like, I want a Luna drop. Oh, you drop me into a game that's 1 minute from almost ending? Great, I don't care, because it means it's a game that I can get my possible Luna that much quicker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for me, I don't mind waiting. If I have to wait another 1-2 minutes in orbit while they find a fresh new game for me, I'll take that. You know what I mean? So I would be happy if there was a little box that said, I don't mind waiting. I would check that goddamn box because I don't mind. I would rather go into a game fresh, not where my team is getting run through the car wash of pain.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And
So,
the problem just gets a little bit, what's the word? Worse, exponentially worse with ranked and unranked play as well. Because sometimes it'll throw you into one of those MLG Grand Finals matches where you have no hope, even if they have something like 300 points out of a 2,500 game. It's still too much of an advantage.
Yeah. Do we think it would be complicated or difficult for... I mean, let me preface this question. I have no game design experience, and it's very easy for me or for anybody to sit here and do a little armchair, you know,
Developer. Yeah.
armchair developer saying, oh, how hard could it be for Bungie to flip a switch? I've never worked at a video game company before, never made a game before, but I'm just wondering out loud, I guess. Wondering out loud how difficult it would be for Bungie to implement a system like that in D2, and why, if any reason at all, would they decide to not do that?
So, real quick, let's talk about, I mean, so we're on the same page. I see 3 options here. There's the one that we have right now. It's kind of the wild, wild west. You know, there's only 3 people on the team. It's 19,000 to whatever it is, and you're going to lose. There's that, what we have now. There's the potential of what we're talking about with an actual, hey, I want to join this game or not. And then there's a non-join in progress, like old Halo. Like, it was 4v4, your guy lagged out, you were done. Like, it was 4v3 for that entire game. So, do we want the join in progress? And do we want to choose, or do we like it right now?
I think
it
choosing,
is.
but the consequence for the no option, never join in progress is they would have to add a deserter penalty. And we talked about that earlier with ranked and unranked,
Yeah.
so it's really up to them.
Yeah. I like that, though, being able to choose.
More options are better for everything, really, aren't they?
But again, I'll say I know nothing about this. Nothing. I don't even know what C++ is, so.
Well, hopefully they can get something done, because, I mean, the system we have right now, in terms of the matchmaking experience, it's not... I know it's like a big circle jerk where, you know, if I say, oh, it's fine, people will be like, what? Are you out of your mind? But no, it's not a dire situation. That being said, I think there is definite room for improvement, and I think that there's a lot that can be done to make the matchmaking experience for D2 all that we want it to be, you know?
Yep.
And on that note, I think it might be a good time to transition into our final topic for the matchmaking experience part 1 of this video, which is dedicated servers.
Hallelujah.
Now, does anyone want to... Now, this is kind of a big buzzword in the
Yeah.
community, in the industry in general, and I've come to know that not a lot of people actually really understand what dedicated servers actually are. They get brought up a lot. Does anyone want to volunteer and explain to our listeners the concept of the dedicated server and how it differentiates, I should say, from what is currently in place in D1 matchmaking?
D1 matchmaking is peer-to-peer, correct?
Yes.
One of you
and
can,
what does that mean?
One of you can take the reins on this if you want to say it more eloquently, or I can just
try.
use street talk.
Dude, I want all the street talk right now.
All right. So peer-to-peer means someone, probably based on location, is in charge of everything in terms of connection. All the consoles connect to this guy and then relay the signal back. Am I okay with that explanation?
That's a good explanation. It's a term that the players might have heard very frequently in matchmaking called the host.
Peer-to-peer matchmaking, we have a host, and the game kind of picks that host before the game, and everyone connects to him. And that's why I always say, well, someone will say, I have 1,000 down, 12,000 upload, and this game's so laggy. Well, it doesn't. Your connection matters, but it's your connection to the host, right? In a peer-to-peer matchmaking game, that's what matters. So if you're matching somebody across the ocean with your awesome internet, think about that with latency. And when we talk about dedicated servers, the host is going to be it's going to be a server in like a server farm in some remote location, and it's going to be a powerful computer. And basically what it does is it just hosts the game. It's not taking into mind the game engine or trying to run any of that. It's just hosting the game. And when someone has Wi-Fi or someone has bad internet connection, they're connecting to the host right there, and the host is kind of keeping track of all these players and making everything run smoothly. Because when it's on player to player, if you have a bad connection in your host, it's trying to track all these people with your bad connection, them connecting to you, and we have a whole bunch of latency issues and people teleporting and thunder strikes across the map.
Because you get stuff like that because all the connections are trying to be in sync with the host connection. And like you said, Cool Guy, if you have a bad host connection, then the game kind of goes into the permanent no fun zone for anybody connection-wise. And the dedicated servers would be ideal because, again, it would be some kind of offshore remote location, some giant, constantly cooled and fanned warehouse of sorts with large servers. And their only job, mind you, their only job is to host your PvP games. That's the only job. And
what a job that would be.
What a job. and with a system like that, it's great because, again, you don't have to worry about who else is in this peer-to-peer system that we're playing in right now. Who's the host of this lobby? What's their connection like? All we have to worry about is our connection to the host, the dedicated server, which should be running fine if it's, built optimally, which if it only has one job, it shouldn't be that hard to do that job, right?
I mean, correct. All I'm imagining is like playing Burning Shrine, and then the rotator belts all morph into each other and make an unpassable wall. Yeah, that would be crazy.
That would be crazy.
It's happened. That's why I bring it up.
It's of course. So what's the holdup here? I mean,
it's
I think
money.
It's
money.
Yeah,
huge money. And and you think Destiny, that coincides with Activision, that's also with Call of Duty. You would think at one point, I mean, I'm just throwing this out there, that they should make it happen, man. And Xbox, Xbox over here, Team Xbox, sorry. They have dedicated servers that they're throwing into games, but it's also to developer, to the game, and I think it kind of falls on Activision, in my opinion. I mean, Bungie could rent and buy a server farm somewhere for their game, but I think it would be nice if Activision had some sort of super compound, like Jurassic Park style, out in the middle of nowhere. Call of Duty's over here, Destiny's over here, Velociraptor's over here. Like, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Operated by one overweight man who constantly complains about how he doesn't get paid enough by his old, crotchety, genius boss. Good idea.
All I'm saying is if there were dedicated servers, connections were better, I would buy more microtransactions if that's the problem. So if they're listening, I'll buy the cosmetics.
Bungie, are you listening? Cammy will buy everything from the Eververse tonight. Do you understand?
He'll put up a YouTube video with sad music in the background of a guy lagging and say, for just 2 Eververse transactions.
But yeah, I mean, you won't find hardly any people in our community where if you talk to them and say, hey, would you like to have dedicated servers in place for Destiny 2? Yes or no? There's basically no one would say no. Right? Everyone will be like, oh, yeah, we want that because it's the better matchmaking experience. We know that. But again, it all boils down to money.
Yep.
And it's not that we don't think they don't have any money, because we know they do. But I don't know. it's kind of, it might be out of Bungie's control, because we know that they have a parent company in place, you know, Activision's over there doing something. And again, we don't know all the decisions that go on behind closed doors, because none of us have ever worked for a video game company before.
Just the
which is
players.
unfortunate.
I don't remember who made the video, but I think it was Game Theory who made a really good video on matchmaking. So maybe I'll just comment on my own channel somewhere in the description or something. Send it to you. You can link it. It explains all of it, how peer-to-peer works and how dedicated servers with nice little images on the screen that say it way better than I think any of us can.
I will put that in the video description for anyone who wants to know more about this topic that we're talking about right now. All right, everybody. Well, I think that wraps up part 1 of our Destiny 2 wishlist conversation, the matchmaking experience of D2. So stick around. I have another video coming out, which will probably play right after this one, or will be in the video description, for part 2 of the video with Cammy and CoolGuy talking about the in-game experience wishlist for D2. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure to sub, like, do all that crap that we always ask you to do, and we will see you in the next video.